All right, we're back. This is a new SEC podcast. I'm Ray Ledette Jr. We got Hunter Ziesman here, and we got an extra special guest. Once again, at this point, I feel like it's just the regular. Davin Bellamy, linebacker, former linebacker from Georgia. Team meeting, Atlanta News First, Dog Nation on Wednesdays. Last game of the season, Georgia Tech, Georgia, at the Benz. You were just talking about what it feels like to play at the Benz. So talk to us about what this game means in this state, the rivalry, and playing at the Benz this year for the first time.
Yeah, man. First, man, I'm so glad to be here with you guys, man. I love the show, and I appreciate you guys, for sharing your platform with me. But, just being at Georgia, man, this is a big game. It's a bragging rights game. It's like Alabama, Auburn, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. A lot of these people, what Mark Richt always told me when I first got to Georgia was every time we played, Georgia Tech, he always said, you can lose every game, just don't lose this one. People share workspaces together. You know what I'm saying? You got a room of 20 people working at a building downtown. 15 of them went, to Georgia. The other 5 went to Tech, or 10 and 10. That's bragging rights.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So this game has always been, important. But back in the day when we played them, they had Paul Johnson. They was running that triple option. Mm-hmm. So that triple option is what we call the equalizer. I don't care what team has the fastest or most talent. Whoever runs the triple option to defend it, it's off discipline. It's not about how fast you are. So that's always been the equalizer. So we've always taken a day, a week out of each practice and focus on Georgia Tech. We even did that when Coach Smart was there. By Coach Smart going to Georgia, he knows how important this game is.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge one for both teams. I mean, I think going into it, just even on the season, Georgia Tech was kind of fighting for a playoff spot. Georgia pretty squarely in there, but it doesn't mean anything about letting foot up off the gas because, like you said, in-state rival, you want nothing more than to beat them down. And other than, right when Kirby got there, after, the first time he lost to Georgia Tech, ever since then, it's been pretty – it's been Georgia heavy every game since. Now, as long as Haynes King's been at Georgia Tech, he's kept it close. We saw the 8 OT game last year. I mean, he's back now his third time playing against Georgia, wants to upset him. But now, neutral site game, I'm excited for this one because I think that it provides a different matchup that Georgia hasn't seen in the SEC, a different matchup that Georgia Tech hasn't seen in the ACC. So it's, a different game for each team.
I mean, for me, I feel like watching Georgia Tech lose this last game, I know they really want this game. They want to potentially still be in that playoff discussion.
I've played in this game. I've been the higher seed. I've been the lower seed. Same thing I said versus Florida. I've played the game. I've been on both sides of the ball. Seeds don't really matter. This is a rivalry. So them boys going to come out there. And this is a Super Bowl. Last year matchup was a little different. Why? You got Carson Beck, right? At the end of the day, when we look at 2 years of tape, Haynes King is better than Carson Beck, in my opinion. Okay? Yeah. But as far as an all-around football player, who's the better pro prospect? You can have a conversation for yourself. As far as a college football player, Haynes King is the better of the two. So last year we watched 2 quarterbacks duel it out, right? Haynes King, in my opinion, put the whole team on his shoulders. He took a beating. He was getting up slow. I don't think he even practiced the next week. He had to literally do Superman. Can he sustain that this year? And the only reason I say that is because it's a different ball club. The offenses are going to cancel each other out. When it comes to the Georgia Tech defense, you have no chance in hell of beating Georgia if you're not physical. When you are giving up 165 yards on the ground, and the team that you're playing is almost averaging 200 yards per game rushing, football is not rocket science. Handing ball off, there's a disparity at the line of scrimmage. We watched last week where this team, Georgia Tech, lost to who? It was Pitt, right?
Yeah, Pitt.
Yeah.
How many yards did Pitt rush for? Oh, you don't even got to answer that because you got 6'7", 6'8", 6'6", 6'7", and 6'8". You got Chauncey Bourne, you got Nate Frazier. You got the two avatars and a tight end that's 6'6 plus, 240 plus, and you got Gunnar Stockton who playing Heisman football right now. In my opinion, Haynes King has to be perfect for him to be in this game because the defense is not going to give them a chance. And what Kirby going to do, he is going to run the air out of the football, and I guarantee you by the third quarter, Georgia Tech front seven quit. I guarantee you.
I mean, Georgia right now offensively, especially in the matchup against this defense, I don't see any like wasted possessions for Georgia's offense because what you're saying, the Georgia Tech defense is going to have a hard time getting them off the field. Georgia's doing great. They're controlling the clock really well. Gunnar Stockton's not turning over the ball that much. He has the 8th best completion percentage in the nation. From when we first started talking about him, you know, when we had you on here against Ole Miss, since then he's taken more development of his weapons. We've seen the running really be solid. Sure. So it's can Georgia Tech also not waste any possessions and kind of stay neck and neck throughout the game? But because if you start falling behind, Georgia's not going to give you the opportunity to make up for any lackluster performances.
No, you have to outcoach Kirby Smart. When we start talking about time of possessions, right? So let me tell you something. When you first lead a game, your first meeting with your coach, your defensive coordinator is not going to read off every stat.
Right.
He going to read off 3 or 4 stats. Time of possession, third down efficiency. If they went for it on fourth down, you know, efficiency, and then turnover ratio. Those 3 things determine the game. Who won time of possession, who won a turnover battle, and who won third down, you know, efficiency. You win 2 out of 3, you got 90% chance of winning based off the analytics. So those are coaching stats. You're gonna have to outcoach Kirby Smart to beat him. If you can't match them talent for talent, you're gonna have to outcoach him. And I don't see my man at Georgia Tech being able to do that. And I just don't see Haynes King again having a Superman type performance back-to-back years versus Georgia defense. Last year, in my opinion, was an outlier. I'm not looking at that data and I'm going to make an assumption with that data. I don't know if he's going to be that same guy on Friday.
Right. And I feel like these two teams are moving in different directions. Like Georgia's trending up, right? I mean, they dominated Mississippi State, dominated Texas. Charlotte game is what it is, but, you know, no wasted possessions. We watched this Georgia Tech team struggle against BC, lose to NC State. And I was at the Pitt Georgia Tech game this past Saturday. So I saw Haynes King struggle to convert on third down, the 3 stats you mentioned around how do you win a game? Third down conversion, turnovers. Through a key turnover, that was the huge momentum shift. For Haynes King, he's kind of been their superhero, like you mentioned, this season. He's 3rd in the ACC in rushing yards. But this Georgia defense, what they do best is stopping the run.
Yeah, that's crazy. But we do struggle with mobile quarterbacks. So that's why that's why I say he can give us a fit. But also, he played a great game last year. But physically, he was beaten to a pulp.
Yeah.
You can't imagine if he can sustain that same beating. Because, like you said, he's 3rd in the ACC in rushing yards at the quarterback position. He's playing overall. That's what I'm saying.
Overall. Yeah.
But he's playing a quarterback position. That is a quarterback literally putting the team on his back. Yeah. What comes with that comes with durability issues.
Yeah.
I just don't see him being able to put the team on his back like he did last year.
I'm gonna give Haynes King a little bit of credit, a little bit more credit here. Before we got on here, me and Randall were talking a little bit about Haynes King because while I think it's going to be hard to do that again, it was making a crazy third down and crazy fourth down last year. It was kind of making things happen. I mean, he's finding the end zone. He is the 4th most rushing touchdowns in the nation at any position. And you look at Jeremiah Love, dog. Kawan Lacey, dog. Caleb Hawkins, dog. And then you got Haynes King 4th and finding the end zone as a rusher. The difference, I think, in this year, too, is that his O-lines protect him a lot better. 14th fewest sacks taken by a quarterback who's played 9 or more games. So, he's getting beat up. It's when he leaves that pocket and has to move with his legs because he's being that guy. You know, I think that there's going to be those little abilities, those capabilities for him to be able to leave the pocket and get those extra yards. How often and how consistently can you do that's the question. But I don't think this is a complete shutdown job from Georgia on Haynes King. I do think that he'll be able to make some things happen. It's just how consistent can that snowball throughout the game.
This is what I was impressed with when I watched Texas, Georgia. Archie Manning is also a dual threat quarterback. When I broke down the tape on the team mean versus Texas game, like the stat of allowed sacks that Georgia Tech, has allowed. As a Georgia fan this year, that stat, I don't care about that stat. This team is not going to get sacks anyways.
It's not the game you're playing, yeah.
What this team does is what you saw last week. We're going to get freaky on third down. We're going to go some mug fronts. We're going to go some exotic fronts. We're going to have some guys drop out. We're going to have some guys rush. We're going to have a spy. I'm going to tell my edges not to rush too far upfield. What they did last week to Archie Manning, that I pointed out was it wasn't about the sacks. This team is doing a good job of knowing that they aren't going to get a lot of high sack numbers. So the guys on the D-line aren't taking chances. If the scheme doesn't allow the sack, they've now been taught, because it's week 9, week 10, you get better over time, to don't get pushed by the quarterback. Don't create gaping holes in the middle. I didn't see Archie Manning last week have a lot of opportunities to use his legs. This is what I'm always going to say at 10. Can Haynes King beat us from the pocket? Georgia is going to do this. They're going to take away what you do best. You're looking at a coach that learned from Bill Belichick, who passed it down to Nick Saban, who passed it down to him. That thing is, I make sure I take away what you do best. I think they know that he's the third leading rusher in the ACC freaking overall. So I guarantee you that the point of emphasis this week is to keep him in the pocket and make him go through his reads and beat us from the pocket. Will he be able to do that? I don't know. So that's where I say I still don't like him being able to. Then they watch the tape. Last year, that's how he killed us. I'll be damned if you keep me like that again. I think this guy's going to have to win from the pocket this week.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Kirby could be out. He could be out for blood, back in blood. And right now, Georgia's second in the ACC or SEC when it comes to rushing yards allowed per game, 87.6. So super tight rush defense wise, passing defense wise, 8th in the SEC. So 206 yards per game. When I think about this matchup, I really just look at it like you said, offenses to offenses, and with the way Gunner's been playing, 19 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I mean, right now Carson Beck's got 9 picks on the season. So you can say that they've won that trade with Miami and saved probably about $3 million as well.
No question.
But I wonder, when you look at Georgia Tech's defense, 14th in the ACC in rush defense, 11th in the ACC in pass defense. We can agree this is an inferior conference. Are they going to have an answer for Gunner Stockton with all these weapons, given they struggle both stopping the pass and the run?
That's what I'm worried about. Like I say, the offense is going to cancel, itself out. I firmly believe that Georgia's going to be able to take advantage of Georgia Tech's defense. Why do I believe that? When I watch the tape, there's nothing tricky going on on a Georgia, offensive side of the ball. It's not like I'm watching Caleb Williams, Shador Sanders, Cam Ward, where it's like if the quarterbacks stay hot, they rolling. It's simple football. It's down said hut. I'm going inside zone on first down. I'm going to get 3 yards. I'm going play action on first down the next set. I'm going to make it 3rd and 5. I'm going to go read option in the red zone. I'm going to go read option. I'm going to throw it to my tight end. So that type of style, that travels. That is late game football. When I got to depend on my quarterback to have these magical games, run back and forth 5 times and launch the ball, 100 yards, that's not sustainable offense. Haynes King having Superman performances, those are not sustainable physically either.
Yeah.
If you want your quarterback to say, I want you to be my whole, offense through week 1 and lead me through a national championship, you're a lie. And as a head coach, you know you're a lie, and you're doing that quarterback a disservice because you're killing him. Right now, I think Georgia's going to get whatever they want on first down. I just the way God made both line of scrimmages, I don't think Georgia Tech is mentally or physically strong enough or weigh enough to even compete with these boys up front. And I'm not being biased, but the tape is the tape. And what I'm telling you right now is Georgia has a nasty O-line that is 6'7" plus 330 pounds. And they are from the south side of Atlanta, and they are playing with reckless abandon. A lot of people like to be like, okay, we got these stats here. We got these stats here. Okay, this team may do this. This team will do this. Football is very simple. When you got some nasty MFs on that front seven, and you've seen them make Texas quit, I've watched them make Ole Miss quit. I've watched them make Auburn quit. I've watched them make Tennessee quit. I've watched them all season drag teams to the deep fourth quarter and do what we call now at Georgia the march of death. We lining up in pistol, and we lining up in I formation the whole fourth quarter. You know the run coming. Can you stop it? I've watched better defenses quit. I don't think Georgia Tech is even made to compete inside the trenches this game.
Hunter, you could probably speak to it. And I agree with you. Hunter, you could probably speak to it. Texas is probably the best defense they've played this season.
And they quit. They quit in the fourth quarter. They simply quit in the fourth quarter. There's a play of me breaking down tape where Georgia in the fourth quarter, they ran inside zone and double team number 21 on Texas, who looks about 6'8", 330 pounds. He got driven 15 yards downfield. Yeah. That is Texas. That is Texas. What do you think Georgia Tech is going to do? See, the first half, the adrenaline running. The pre-workouts is stealing your blood. The rivalry, the anxiety is stealing your blood. By the third quarter, all that is wore off.
Yeah. I mean, and we've seen the games where Georgia's has not had the luxury of playing the game where you're up and being able to do that. And they've still been able to perform like the Tennessee game where you're not the leading team in the game and you're having to kind of play from behind, and they can flip that switch and turn it on.
They can flip it.
I mean,
you
talk about fundamentals. I mean, there's nothing more fundamental than the pitch and catch, basically automatic connection right now with Zachariah Branch and Gunnar Stockton. I mean,
for sure,
the second best completion percentage in a duo in the SEC. I mean, it's almost automatic right now. So, I mean, it's fundamental football, like you're saying.
And they started to get Noah Thomas involved as well since Colby Young.
Noah Thomas
picking up.
Yeah. Noah Thomas is picking up. And that's an NFL receiver.
Yeah.
To go on your point, we did not know this about Gunnar. Gunnar has jumped expectations more than anybody could ever saw. It's a quote that I heard, and it applies to Gunnar very, very, specifically. You don't want to have to depend on your quarterback. You build a team to where you don't want to have to depend on your quarterback. But there are also some games where you want to depend on your quarterback. Some quarterbacks need the running game. Some quarterbacks don't need the running game. At first, I thought Gunnar Stockton needed the running game. But as you can tell, he don't need the running game. If he got to go 28 for 32, 286 yards, bro, the guy is delivering the ball at a 70% clip. That means out of every 10 passes, only 3 hitting the ground. In the SEC, man. So at this point, like I've been saying the last 2 to 3 weeks, just off the tape, not me being biased, just off the tape, I don't see a team better than Georgia right now. I got a quarterback that can beat you from the pocket. If I want to make it a slugfest and get it over with quick, I inside zone you to death, and I bet you can't stop it. And if you want to go, man, I got 6'6" tight ends in number 4 or number 7. How you want it? And if you take away them, I got the baddest man in the SEC who don't even supposed to be in the SEC. Zachariah Branch type players don't come to the SEC because they don't get the ball enough. They go out west.
Yeah.
Zachariah Branch was a gift drop from God. Right now, I just don't think the way this team is playing and the way the defense is starting to catch up, even in rushing the passer, the rest of the league is in trouble. I don't think Georgia Tech got a chance.
The past few weeks, the pass rush has kind of jumped up. I think some teams have found a mismatch sometimes in the pass rush with the exotic blitzes, the different things where maybe you're trying to block with the tight end, but you're too big on Georgia to be blocked with a tight end, or even a slot or a running back.
You guys use a tight end to chip. You're not using the tight end to be a full-time blocker. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it on some of these outside runs. I think you broke down. I don't remember what game it was you broke down where they were running outside and the tight end was trying to block, and it just wasn't.
Okay, yeah.
I don't remember what game that was, but
it was a Mississippi State. They line a slot receiver up to do a crap back on CJ Allen.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this team, bro, to be the youngest team in the SEC, that's a fact. They're the youngest team in the SEC, and they're one post route drop away from being undefeated.
Oh, how you feel about that one, Hunter?
It can go both ways. You can pull some things on that game, and
because they did not score the second half. If he just catch the ball, his life is changed forever. The freshman wasn't ready for the moment. Alabama has scored the whole second half. If he catches that post route, the youngest team in the SEC with a first year starter is undefeated.
I don't know. I get what you're saying. Yeah. So I mean, at this game, keys to the game. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, we've talked about it. That Georgia, pretty much in every aspect, is the better football team. Some keys for Georgia Tech in this game. What I'm looking at, they have been able to find some explosive plays, pretty highly in the country. If you look at the list of plays over 30 yards, they have 33 of them. They've been able to find some ways to have some explosive plays. Georgia, decent at limiting them, but there has been some bend, a little bit of break at times, especially downfield. Right. 1v1 matchups. I mean, I know they're outskilled, but there's still some room, especially if you got guys pinching down to stop the quarterback. For sure. So that's kind of a key here. If you're Georgia Tech, you need to find the explosiveness. When you're playing down, when you're the down team and you're kind of playing up, you got to come out and try to punch the other team in the mouth. You can't be conservative. So that's where I kind of see the key for Georgia Tech in this one is find the explosiveness early, because you're not going to play from behind.
Yeah, from a Tech standpoint, what I really saw from the last game was they got their tight ends involved. When they could finally get the ball downfield, it was because of the tight ends. They obviously use Haynes King a lot to convert on third down, so I expect that to be the case in this game. Kirby's preached about physicality. I feel like that was his overall message after the Texas game. Like, hey, if you want to go play soft football, go to Texas. So I expect Georgia to really try to out-physical them in this game, right? Yeah. And then keys for Georgia, I think physicality is number one. And not letting Georgia Tech have some life in this game. They're going to score offensively, Georgia, but you can't let them have these momentum swinging plays where now you're kind of in this battle going back and forth. Just kind of, choke them out early if that's how they want to win the game.
Yeah, nah, man. I definitely agree, especially in a game like this where there's such a difference in the line of scrimmage. Like I always say, if you want to kill an ant, you kill an ant with a sledgehammer. So, coming into this game, you already know that you're physically better than them. When we're talking about up front, when we start talking about this year, Georgia skill positions are better. I mean, they're just good. But up front, it's just different. You can't give them life. This is going to be their Super Bowl. So one of the keys that I'm going to give for Georgia is, don't look past this team. I don't think they will, just because this is not an old team. This is a young team. This Georgia team is young and vibrant. They don't know what they don't know yet. They like the OKC team that went to the finals, and everybody was talking about, they're supposed to be nervous. Well, they've never been there before, so they just don't know what they don't know. This team is so young, I don't even think they're even looking ahead. They're still trying to get better week by week because they're such young players. So first of all, know who you're playing, right? Know it's going to be their Super Bowl. Know they want to spoil your party. And two, birds fly and fishes swim. All you got to do is be you. Don't try to be nobody else different. Be you. And judging off the leader of this team, Gunnar Stockton, I fully expect him to do what I see every week. He doesn't want the superior stats to win the Heisman. He just want to make all the right plays. He gonna throw the ball away when it's time to throw the ball away. He gonna tuck it and run it. He gonna get down. He gonna get out of bounds. He gonna take his check downs, and we're gonna use his legs. In the third down. If you do that, the physicality will eventually wear Georgia Tech down. You get out there and you start playing hoorah ball. That's the part you did not bring up. When we talked about this, off camera. This is one of the keys that y'all forgot to bring up on the Georgia Tech side of the ball. Playing in the dome is different.
Yep.
Right? A lot of people think that players play the same in all situations. I'm telling you from experience, players play different in the playoffs. Players play different when the game on the line. So everyone does not rise to the occasion. That is not true. That is not true. Everyone does not raise to the occasion. So just because we can look at numbers and look at this, we also got to look at this is the Georgia Dome. The only time you walk foot in here is when you playing for a championship game. Some guys have never played in that game. I mean, in that stadium.
Mm-hmm. Georgia does their high school football championships in the Mercedez Benz as well. So, we saw.
Exactly. What I'm telling you is these guys, the freshmen, the seniors on Georgia team have a ring. They vacate at the Georgia Dome. They're in an SEC championship every year. Georgia Tech never plays there. Unless it's for a Chick-fil-A Classic. The lights are a little brighter.
They did get worked last year by Notre Dame there.
The lights are a little brighter at 7:30 on ESPN, and the whole world is watching in the Georgia Dome. The lights are a little brighter. I'm not saying they aren't going to play up to the Stampede, but you got to also think about that versus a team that their seniors are 50-3, already have a national championship, and go to the SEC championship every week. They vacate in the dome. So the moment won't be too big for these guys. Yeah. So that's another very important part that people aren't talking about in this game. Will the lights be too big for Georgia Tech? We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. Right now, Georgia Tech, 12.5-point dogs here. A couple score predictions. I feel like I've been a little bit on the Georgia Tech side. I'm not going to pick them to win. I like Georgia Tech to cover here. I think just a rivalry game. We've seen how the game has gone.
Okay.
As long as Haynes King has been there, he's kept it close.
You're right, though. You're right. You're right.
Came over from A&M. He's kept the game close. He's a baller. Whether he gets it done or not, as far as I'm concerned, he keeps the game close. I like Georgia in this one, 32-26. I think it stays a little bit closer.
Okay, I like that.
Georgia Tech falls behind one possession and just can never make it back up.
Yeah, when I look at this matchup, I think a lot about Kirby's kind of been in the talk around how he covers spreads. And a lot of it's been about G5 matchups and spreads over 30 points. He's not a guy who runs the score up, right? He'll make some ballsy calls. He'll do an onside kick. He'll go for it on fourth down, but he's not going to try to pummel someone in the dirt from what we've seen. So
yeah, agreed.
I'm in the same camp where I'm going to say it's going to be 30-20. I don't think they're going to score more than 20 points in this case. Tech. I don't think Georgia needs to score more than 30, and they're going to control the line of scrimmage running the football, so the clock will naturally tick.
Exactly. That's we're all very similar. I was going to say like 31-17.
Okay.
I don't see them being able to just march the ball down the field on a Georgia defense. There's their way 3-4 times in order to score 20 plus points. I just don't see that happening with how this defense is playing. But yeah, I like 31-17. I think when Georgia gets to the fourth quarter, like you were saying, Randall, it's called that march of death, where we're not trying to run the score up. We're just trying to make you quit. And if we score running the ball, then we score. If we don't, then the clock will run out. So I definitely think it'll be that type of ball game where it's close. The Georgia Tech, offense, it's not going to be able to go possession with Georgia. I think they get down, got to change their game plan. Now Haynes King got to start winning from the pocket a little bit more. Georgia, starts to march to death.
I can definitely see it. And so you heard it here first. And so, Davin does his team meeting week over week. We're in season 2. It's been absolutely incredible to watch, and it's blowing up this season. And so you've been watching the Dogs every single week. I wish CJ Allen was playing in this game, but based upon what you've watched, who have been some of your favorite players and why?
That's a good question, man. That's a good question. That's a great question. When I think about that, as of late, I would have to say I've really been impressed with the tight ends, Lucky and Delt. I think the world of those guys. I think those are guys that you build your culture around. I think having seniors like that in the locker room is why this team is the way they are. We're talking about guys, if they could have went to any other school, Penn State, these guys would be up for all type of tight end awards. One thing I learned about being at Georgia, and I'm sorry, I just always got little fucking stories. I'm sorry, I cuss. Quick little stories.
It's all good.
When we had to switch from Mark Richt to Kirby Smart, we watched tape as a defense when Coach Smart got there. And what he said was, I see 11 guys trying to make plays, not 11 guys playing together. And that's when they say, I'm going to change the culture. When you got guys like that who deserve 10 targets a game, who are always open, and at one point they weren't getting targeted at all, and they're blocking their butts off like they just had 10 targets in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, that is epitome of culture, man. And we talk about guys that got first-round grades, not getting any targets early in the season, and still blocking, running downfield. So I would give it to them. And on the defensive side of the ball, as of late, you guys probably don't follow Georgia recruiting. I didn't either until I just got into this. But it's a guy named Elijah Griffin who really showed up in the Texas game. And this guy's a 5-star freshman, number 1 D tackle in the country last year. This guy has Jalen Carter freakish ability, and it's starting to show. It showed the Texas game, and it showed last week. This guy is a top 10 pick. He has Jalen Carter freakish ability. He's starting to come on. I'm love to watch it on tape.
But it's like I said, I like both those guys, and I like the tight ends as well. And so just wanted to get your thoughts when we're looking at Georgia football. And so for Georgia, if they win this game, they kind of have to wait to see what happens across the SEC to determine if they're going to be playing on December 5th in the Benz for the second back-to-back SEC championship. If not, the rankings come out tonight. We're recording this Tuesday night. A lot of people believe that Georgia could potentially still get a first-round bye if they were to win this game. And obviously, if they lose, I still feel like they're safely in the playoffs, but it'll be certainly something to see how it plays out either way.
Yeah,
I don't want the first round bye. The first round bye is for a team full of 50 years. That bodies beat up. With all that time off, we're talking about 3 weeks off. About 3 weeks off from the last game of the season until you missing the first round bye to you know what I'm saying? That's for a veteran team that need rest, need to decompress a little bit and still keep their mind sharp. This team too young for that. I don't want 3 weeks off. This team right now is like when you're doing like push-ups or you doing, some pull-ups, and then you just find that pocket.
Yeah.
You don't want to stop, but somehow I'm just in a nice pocket. That's what this team is right now. I don't want 3 weeks off for this young team. This team is rolling. They're getting better week by week. I want us to play in the first round or to make it to the SEC championship game. Let's just keep it rolling.
Yeah. And if you were to end up somehow at that 5 spot, be playing the 12 seed, which would be like a JMU or a UNT, that would be a great game to get those additional. That would be a great game.
Come on, man.
Well, to get those additional reps for some of the guys who you might need as you go through the playoff stretch. You start to work down your receivers, start to work down your running backs a little bit. So
you gotta stay sharp.
I hear you there.
Stay sharp. Yeah.
I hear you there. Now, on the flip side, Georgia Tech, if there's any Georgia Tech fans out there or people following the ACC right now, they need like 4 or 5 things to happen this weekend to make it to the ACC championship. That's pretty much their only way to make it to the playoffs. They had a chance to clinch it last week. So this game doesn't do too much for them in the playoff hopes race by any means. They're looking for a lot of help. Georgia controls their destiny. They're going to be in it no matter what. But that pretty much, does it here. I want to hear the thoughts out there of what people think the score would be. Drop a prediction, in the comments, because we like to see what everyone thinks. People are always all over the place, so it's funny to see who gets closest.
It definitely is. And so once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Randall Ledet Jr., Hunter Ziesman, and Davin, as always, love having you on. So let everybody know where to find you, and we'll sign off here.
Yeah, man, you can find me on my Instagram, Davin Bellamy 17. Team 7 meeting is also the separate tag where I collab the posts. My YouTube channel is One Love Media. You can just type in Davin Bellamy and it'll show up. And on X, Davin Bellamy 17 is also where we have those clips, man.
Yeah. Be sure to follow him, watch his content. Good breakdown, film breakdown every week on the Georgia content. Be sure to tune in to that. As
lots
always,
of wisdom too. You'll catch a quote or two every time.
You know what? Like, this is the best thing I was trying to like about it is the comments of I'm here for the parables, or I'm here for this. This football has taught me so much about life that now that I have this platform and so many people are tuning in, it is my job to try to use that platform for the greater good. So whenever I can see a football lesson and bring it into life, and maybe somebody that's just watching it is having a tough day, and that little nugget may get them another 24 hours to keep going, that's my duty of me thanking God for the platform that he's gave me. So I really do appreciate you bringing that up.
Absolutely, man. And amen. And like you said, football brings people together. Rivalry weekend brings people together. It separates some families. But, football, culture, sports, music, it all goes together. And it's going to be a great rivalry weekend between Friday and Saturday. And so if you're watching to this point, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a fun season here with Hunter. It's been a fun season having special guests like Davin on. And until next time.